Hey, what's going on, guys? The patch 2.0 livestream was on Friday, and wow, the hype for Inazuma is real and Mihoyo really delivered. Before hopping into the video, I just want to give Mihoyo props for introducing so many characters in the trailer, even if we do not know their abilities or if they're a 4-star or 5-star. I think that a huge portion of the community saves for characters based on aesthetics and lore, and so just getting a glimpse at these characters from the source is very refreshing. In this video, I want to talk about my preliminary thoughts on the new artifact sets introduced. I can't honestly say that this is the first time I've seen these, but I am really excited to talk about them and to farm them because I genuinely think that these will be some of, if not the best artifacts to farm in the entire game. Please take this video with a grain of salt until these artifact sets are officially released, but these sets do appear to be universal sets that can be used on almost every single character in the game, which makes them very resin efficient to farm if you care about that kind of thing. With the number of characters coming, I know that I do. While these may not be the best artifact set for every character, any damage dealing character, and especially those scaling off of attack, can benefit from either set. That is big, especially since these will almost certainly be available in the same domain. We've only gotten 4 new artifact sets since the game launched, and only one of these sets is supportive in nature. So far, we've gotten Blizzard Strayer, Heart of Depth, Tenacity of the Millelith, and Pale Flame. All 4-piece sets have pretty specific use cases that really only work well on 1 to 2 characters, and the 2-piece sets are either specific to a certain type of damage or stat scaling. While these new sets can be replaced with the current alternatives, I do 100% think they are worth farming. Now, the 2 sets are Shimenawa's Reminiscence and Emblem of the Severed Fate, with Shimenawa's Reminiscence being geared to main DPS units, and Emblem of the Severed Fate being an amazing support and sub-DPS artifact set. Let's start off the discussion with Emblem of the Severed Fate, because I think there's no question that this is the better set, because this can be used on almost every support and sub-DPS character in the game. This set gives 20% energy recharge with 2 pieces, and increases elemental burst damage by 25% of energy recharge up to 75% total. Energy recharge is arguably the most valuable stat on any support character, and is also not wasted on energy-hungry main DPS units like Eula and Xiao. The easiest way to get energy recharge is typically through weapon substats. While all weapon types have at least one weapon with an energy recharge substat, there are 2 reasons why you'd also consider equipping this set. The ER weapon is not the best weapon for the character, or number 2, the character is extremely hungry and wants significantly more energy recharge than a weapon substat can provide. Characters like Beidou, Bennett, and Sucrose, for example, are better with non-energy recharge based weapons, but still want significant energy recharge, while Xingqiu and Xiangling really do not see their full potential until energy recharge numbers around 200% or above, which is typically only possible by using an energy recharge Sans and sacrificing a damage main stat. In order to obtain the full 75% burst damage bonus, a character must have 300% energy recharge, which is excessive for even the highest burst costs, but at 200% energy recharge, characters can still obtain a 50% increase in elemental burst damage. The characters that I plan to farm this set for are Xiangling, Xingqiu, Beidou, and Mona. These characters are all in the sub-DPS category and benefit from high energy recharge, meaning the 2-piece set bonus is welcome and the damage scaling from their standard recommended energy recharge value will be high. At 200% energy recharge, this set can outshine the current options for Xiangling, Beidou, Mona, and Xingqiu, which consist of a 15% elemental damage bonus from a given elemental set and 20% elemental burst bonus from the Noblesse set, and this is a no-brainer for these characters assuming you're not already running a full 4-piece Noblesse set. Damage bonuses in this game are additive, meaning the current mixed sets give a 35% increase in elemental burst damage, but also give a 15% increase in elemental damage outside of their burst. Comparing the current 35% increased burst damage to around 50% increased burst damage, it seems like that this set could be best in slot for most of these characters. So let's look at each of these characters a little closer. First, let's discuss Xingqiu, as he was the first character that came to mind for me. Xingqiu is complicated because his burst damage scaling changes with constellations, and actual burst damage is heavily dependent on team comps, rotations, and enemy RNG. Under average conditions, while I do think that this is his new best in slot, I do not think that it is worth farming only for him if you're using a sacrificial sword. Xingqiu's elemental burst has a damage scaling over 5,000% in an ideal case, meaning talent level 9, constellation 6, and almost all of the rain swords hitting enemies. At C6, Xingqiu is capable of summoning around 60 rain swords during his burst window. All of these swords hitting enemies is RNG dependent though, and also depends on enemies being present and within range of his burst. Xingqiu's elemental damage scaling is higher than most characters at around 610% at talent level 9, and if you're using the best in slot sacrificial sword, this can be performed twice per burst rotation. Not to mention he gains a 50% damage bonus while casting the skill during his burst at Constellation 4. This skill is also easier to land than the other characters we'll discuss. For the purpose of the set comparison, we'll use a level 90 Xingqiu, level 90 Sac Sword, level 9 Talents, 200% energy recharge, and assume that only 30 swords hit enemies in the burst window, which is a realistic number in general. With these stats, the new set will outperform the current best in slot by about 3% in total damage. Under ideal conditions, this increases to around 5%, assuming all of his rain swords hit enemies during his burst. Set choice really just comes down to the substats. In Mona's case, it does seem like that this will be her best sub DPS set. Burst damage scaling will be higher than the damage scaling from a 2-piece Noblesse and 2-piece Hearted Depth, plus Mona's A4 talent lets her convert energy recharge into hydro damage bonus, so she will gain an additional 4% damage bonus from the 2-piece artifact set alone. Xiangling and Beidou's support damage is heavily scaled towards their burst as well, with Xiangling's Guoba Bear being very inconsistent in actually hitting enemies, and Beidou being reliant on RNG as well as skill to perfect counter and maximize elemental skill damage, so I would recommend this set over the current options for them as well. So what are my conclusions on this artifact set? This set will likely be best on support and sub DPS characters whose burst damage outscales their elemental skill damage, and especially on those who need high energy recharge to reach their potential. This is arguably the best artifact set to farm in the game. I'm kicking myself now for the months of resin I spent grinding out the Noblesse domain. Noblesse is so good because of its versatility, meaning that the resin value for farming that domain is very high, but because the 4-piece set bonus does not stack when equipped on multiple characters, the value of running that set on multiple characters falls off, which is where Seal of Insulation shines. On top of this, the 4-piece set can be swapped between all of these support characters as long as you have a complementary elemental damage goblet. Also, the 2-piece set bonus can allow you to swap an energy recharge sands for another substat that adds to damage output, and the 2-piece set is useful on literally every single character in the game. Thank you for this set, Mihoyo. Now let's not make it as painful to farm as Pale Flame, okay? Let's switch gears and discuss my preliminary thoughts on Shimenawa's Reminiscence. This set is a little more niche, but still can be used on most main DPS characters. This set gives 18% attack with 2 pieces, and when casting an elemental skill, if the character has 15 or more energy, they lose 15 energy, and normal, charged, and plunging attack damage is increased by 50% for 10 seconds. There are a couple really great things about this set. For one, we can finally get the same 2-piece set bonus as a Gladiator Finale in a much more farmable set, and 2, this artifact set can be used on any weapon type, unlike the Gladiator or Wanderer set that are specific to either melee or ranged characters. Based on the appearance of this set alone, it seems pretty clear that this will be the signature set for Yoimiya, and this makes sense because much like Hu Tao and Child, Yoimiya will infuse her normal attacks with pyro damage during her elemental skill as we saw during the livestream. This will therefore be her DPS window when we want to boost her damage the most. In general, I think this set will be best on the following types of characters. Characters whose elemental skill boosts normal and charge attack damage, characters with a short elemental skill cooldown that rely on normal and charge attacks for damage, and characters with low burst cost or low burst priority. There's no doubt this set will reduce burst uptime, so if that is important to you or the character, this may not be the best set. The first category are the characters we already discussed, including Yoimiya, Hu Tao, and Child. I'm currently running a 4-piece Crimson Witch on Hu Tao, and I think that this is better overall because she gets little benefit from the 18% attack bonus, even if she can maintain a single stack on the full Crimson Witch set. Hu Tao's burst scaling is also significant, and this set will nerf her burst damage pretty significantly. Child is in a very similar situation with his signature Heart of Depth set. Assuming Yoimiya's burst damage is not a large portion of her overall damage, then this set will be perfect for her. I also think that the 4-piece set can be good for physical builds on characters like Jean and Rosaria, who have short elemental skill cooldowns, as the 2-piece set bonus will increase all damage, and the 4-piece bonus will provide the same benefit to the Pale Flame set, while being more consistent to keep uptime on. So if your RNG was as bad as mine in the Pale Flame domain, there's still hope to get a comparable comparable set for a number of characters. Although you will burst less often, both of these characters have low elemental skill cooldowns and decent damage scaling on their elemental skill. And in the third category, which shares some overlap to the physical characters, we have characters with a low burst cost or burst priority. In this category, I'd place Keqing and Ganyu. Keqing will have a significantly easier time maintaining this set effect over Pale Flame, with their skill cooldown well within the 10-second duration of the buff, and with a burst cost of only 40, she has little trouble maintaining uptime. And last but not least, we have Ganyu. We finally have a competitor to Wanderers for a Melt Ganyu artifact set that is easily farmable. Ganyu's elemental skill is on a 10-second cooldown, so you will need to continuously use her taunt on cooldown, and you'll lose out on the elemental mastery bonus from Wanderers, but will still get 18% attack and a higher damage multiplier of 50% versus 35%. For the times that a melt reaction is not procced, an attack percent substat is more beneficial anyways, so this is not a net negative. For an optimized Ganyu build with a level 90 prototype Crescent and no elemental mastery from artifact substats, the Shimenawa's Reminiscence is the stronger set by a couple of percent. And for non-melt reactions, this new set is stronger by about 15%. I still typically recommend Blizzard Strayer for non-melt Ganyu comps because it is much easier to build around, but this new set is very viable alternative for mixed damage or reverse melt comps if you can get good RNG on your artifacts. But let me know what you guys think. Are you planning to farm these new sets, and who are you planning to use them on? That's all I got for you guys. If you guys found this video helpful and informative, please consider liking the video and subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. I'll see you guys soon for the next video. Peace.